Boy, do I love this car. I gotta tell you, it's getting to where I need to get this thing finished so I can start driving it around. I took this 63 Pontiac Grand Prix out of the woods where it sat for 40 years. This thing's only got 46,000 miles, but the drivetrain was robbed and the whole back half of the frame and the trunk and everything was just gone. It was rotted. But in 90 days, I took this car from a rotting pile that was headed for the scrapyard. I got it running and driving, put on air ride, and did victory laps at No Name Nationals. Now here comes spring, and although it's hit and miss on whether or not I have a sunny day or a cold day, I think it's time to get this thing going. I want to start cruising. So as you can see, I went ahead and put the hood back on. You know, you'd be surprised how many times I've received messages and comments on my videos about getting a hood on it. You know, people want to offer me up the hood they have. It's a straight hood, it's a good hood. Take the hood I've got, or, you know, and I don't ever want to turn anybody down, but I had a hood the whole time, people. I just didn't have time to make it fit. The hinges didn't work. They were froze up. So I just pulled the hood off and did the workaround. And by the time No Name Nationals came, I didn't even have it running, so I didn't mess with the hood. I wanted to get it running and driving. So here we are. I've kind of test fitted the hood back in place. And of course, we all knew this was going to happen. It doesn't fit. There's a giant LS in the way. Some people tell me I can cut this part of the hood out and maybe get it to fit, but reality is I'm not going to do that. It's just not going to happen. So what I need to do is maybe call partners at Holley. See if Holley can get me a low-rise intake. And with that, we should be able to get this hood to fit again. Because really my only hang-up is this truck intake and this air inlet. I mean, I can change the air inlet, but the truck intake still sticks up too high. And I knew that when I put the engine in. So I don't want to take the engine out right now, and I sure the heck don't want to cut my hood. So I guess we're gonna call Holley. So the other things we need to work on is we need to get this thing on full-time air ride. You know, a management system that will, you know, go up and stay up. Because right now I've got it on some old air compressor valves, some interesting workarounds that I had to do just to make it go up and down. So I always have to have a portable air compressor handy, and of course it's not cab controllable. It's just a mess. The other issue was when we drove it to Sikeston on the trailer, I had it strapped down from the axle, and bouncing down the road it bent my airbag mounts. I mean, these were homemade, just out of 1/4-inch steel. I didn't expect them to last. So with that, we're going to have to do some gussets and fix that. And, you know, we need to test it. This is all homemade stuff. eBay bargain stuff, or made out of scrap that I had laying around. That's how you get out from paying $2,000 to $2,500 for an air ride kit. And I got, I'm wanting to say maybe $350 in the whole setup. And the only way I did that was with eBay and scrap metal. So now what I got to do is get it to run, get the transmission to go into drive, get it into the garage, put it up on jack stands, fix all the little broken bits, and you know, maybe stop the leak. That would be great. Transmission just sits here and leaks because the O-ring for the dipstick is gone. It's missing. So every time it lowers down, it tilts just enough that it pours out. So we need to top that off, which means I need access to the glove box. Dang it. But it's been sitting and look, still turns over. I'm gonna go ahead and get in, but you know, that door doesn't work. Still. God, I love this car. Let me turn on my ignition. Remote start. I guess we should go ahead and get this working with the key too. I don't know. Maybe see if I can get some power to the dash. Get the headlights working and... Actually, let's just get this thing running and ready for the road. Well, just like before, we're going to use the old tappy tap, but in this case, we're going to use it as a hood prop. There we go. Now, with our hood prop in place, we're going to be able to get access in here to the all the old electronics for the car. It's obviously got a whole set of new electronics. I just love it when people are fired up down the road. So we obviously have a whole bunch of new electronics that's just for the LS swap. But the original old electronics, wiring and everything, are still in the car. I just had them stuffed into the fender until I decided what we're going to do with it. Now, I don't know what's what. It's probably going to take me a few minutes to figure it out. So in the meantime, we should probably check our fuses. So like I've said before, everything from the No Name Nationals that I put in the car to take to the event is all still in the car. So I need to clean all that out. But we also need to get underneath the dash here, start looking at fuses. I want to get access to the key. We have the original key for the car. I want to see if I can make that original ignition start this car. And then we have our air ride set up over here. But we don't have the tank and everything in the back. So we'll need to get all that hooked up. So yeah, there's air tank over there. And then, you know, we've always still got the vice grip shifter. And we're going to want to make that work. So I'm going to get to it. So it's just about any car guy will tell you, it helps to be a little bit of a ninja to get up underneath these dashes and get to what you need to get to. I don't want to disassemble everything yet. Reality is, I'm probably not going to get all the original stuff working. The heater controls, they're awesome in this car. It's the radio, it's the heater. But even as awesome as they are, unless I can do some work on the back end to change them from vacuum to electronic, I'm not going to use them. They're just going to be decoration. Same with the stereo. I don't have a lot of use for AM radio, nor will I probably even listen to the stereo. Well, that's later down the line. This car sings its own song when it drives down the road. But what I will want to do is see if I can't get the dash lights working, eventually the speedometer working. I'd like to see the headlight switch work, and maybe even the wipers. I mean, that's asking a lot. But to do that, we've got to go through, check all the fuses, see what's working, what's not. And so I need a fuse tester. So we're going to start there. And then, you know, if we have to, we'll just get a whole new fuse box and upgrade it. But I don't know, I just really like the glass fuses. Those are just cool. And it reminds me of my childhood. It's definitely something that you don't see in any of these modern cars these days. But I don't know, it's just cool. Yeah, I know I've got an LS in it, but I still like the old stuff. And you never know, I might actually convert it back to a Pontiac engine, Pontiac drivetrain at some point. Yeah, probably not. But if I did, it'd be cool to still have the original fuse box. So I'm gonna dig in. Okay, so I've dug the entire fuse panel apart. The fuses look fine. All of the little connections where the little glass fuse connects on either end, all of those inside of the fuse box are rusty. Imagine that. All the rest of the connections on the back side look fine, other than some cobwebs and spiders. But I think what we're going to do is take a little bit of emery cloth, a little sandpaper, get in there and clean off those little connections and see if we can't get it going again. Yes, I could just cut it all off and start over. But I don't like that. I like taking stuff and making it work. So, I mean, the fuses are probably older than I am, but we're going to try to make them work. All right, so I've hooked up what I think is the main power wire to the fuse box. I've got all the fuses, cleaned up and back into the box. I got the box cleaned up. Let's get our original key that we found under the hood. See if we can't make it do something. All right, so I did a little work. Took the little ring off. We got the ignition hanging here. Going to try to get power to it and see what it powers. I've got all my fuses back in the fuse box, and I'll remount it back up there. It was just 2 screws. It was all left original. So yeah, let's try that. I don't think I got the right power to the right things here. So I didn't want to have to do it, but it seems like all the wiring for the ignition goes up into the dash area behind the cluster. And it doesn't look like it's going to be easy to take apart. But I can't get to the wiring because it's up behind all of this stuff. And yeah, I could just cut all the wiring and start over. But I don't want to. So I'm going to work on this. All right, with the key in the dash, see if I can get it to turn. Yep. All right, so we figured out which one is the starter wire, and I know which ones are the ignition wires. And while I'm not going to be able to track it all down by taking the dash apart, and just to be honest, it's too crumbly. It's delicate. I'm afraid that if I start peeling it apart, you know, the hard parts that are impossible to find and difficult to replace, I'm just not going to find again. So it's not a restoration job. This is going to be get it running and driving, fix what I can, bypass what I can't. And in this case, we're going to jump into the ignition switch so I can use the original key with the original switch, but it's going to fire up just like it did our LS. The only thing I've got to change now is my fuel pump. I've got to change it and the ignition switch all to the key so that when I turn the key on, I have power. When I turn the key off, it shuts off. I mean, it seems simple enough, but I mean, I've got all this wiring rigged in here for now. So once we get that done and I can operate it all with the key, you know, the rest of it just gets a lot simpler. I can go through and start checking bulbs, fixing wires where I need to fix them. So far all the fuses are checking out okay. So really the next step is wiring in the ignition switch to run the electronics that I already have set up for the LS, and then start hunting down why lights and things don't work. It could be something simple, like the old style foot switch might not be any good. You know, we'll figure it out. Turn signal, I had a light on earlier, but it didn't blink, so, you know, either the bulbs are bad or the blinker relay is bad. Who knows? Might be the switch itself is bad. But, I mean, I don't have a horn, so horn's not going to work. But, you know what? We're going to get it going. So, you just witnessed me getting it to turn with the key. I'm going to do it again. It's the fuel pump coming on. So now all we got to do is get the rest of it wired into the key, and one step further. So thanks for watching Buff's Garage. I hope you kind of enjoyed this short video on trying to get the fuse box and the wiring figured out from the original 63 car, and now we're going to kind of mesh it into the modern LS stuff too, so that it all works as it should off the key, turning on, turning off, all that. But I appreciate you guys watching. If you want to see more on the 63 Grand Prix, make sure to check out the playlist that's down in the description. I also have an all-wheel drive Trans Am I'm getting ready to start on. I've done a little bit, so you can check out that playlist down below as well. And of course, all the other projects I've got going on here at Buff's Garage. I want you to check them out. I thank you guys for subscribing. Head over to buffsgarage.com, get you some merch, and you know, keep me working on cars. I appreciate you all. Thanks for watching.